Money is love. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. If you thought that when you saw the title of this video, I want you to know I feel you, and I want you to stick around because I bet I'm about to change your mind. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Sarah Uncut, where today I'm going to be talking about the concept that money is love. Now, if this makes your hair stand on end and you're like, Sarah Walden, I've been with you until this video, I want you to know I feel you. I absolutely get it. The first time I had this thought, it really was. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I don't want to be known as the money is love lady, and yet here I am recording this video, yeah? And you're watching it. Oh no, that means I've taken it on. Why? Let me walk you through what happened. Picture it, Sicily, oh wait, no, that's Golden Girls. So for us, we're gonna do Picture It, the Poconos, about 11 years ago. My business was about 3 years old. I was hired to be a keynote speaker at a conference. I was so excited, and I was practicing in my little cabin my speech. So I was walking around like I do, and I was practicing. It was all about women and money and how to generate more inside of our businesses and our relationship to money. Like, how does this get formed? What happens? And as I'm practicing this talk, I have the thought, money is love. And literally that was my reaction. That was weird and dumb, right? But it kept coming. I don't know if you've ever had that happen. You have a thought and it just keeps persisting. So given all my years of training, I sit down and I listen. I go, what is happening here? And I remembered a couple of experiences I'd had in my early 20s. Now, in my early 20s, I got what I call my business street cred. I was working at startups. I was learning how to pitch for venture capital. It was a very exciting time on like the streets of New York City, working 18-hour days, learning video and audio and understanding how businesses work and financial projections and how to pitch to get capital. It was so exciting. And one of those businesses was turning all of Marianne Williamson's old conferences, talks that she'd given for years and years, and we were digitizing those to create what we called the Miracle Matrix. It's pretty freaking cool. Anyway, during this time, as we're digitizing all this content, I got to spend a lot of time in the studio with Marianne Williamson. Now, if you don't know who she is, that's cool. She's the author of a book called Return to Love. And the concept inside this book, which you may know, by the way, because of one of its most famous quotes, and the quote is this: our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. That quote can be found inside that book, so you may have heard of it because of that. And in all my time in getting to work with her, what was so great is that I was learning all the lessons she was teaching. I mean, she is known as a miracle worker. She is known as a transformational thought leader. And one of the things she teaches, and this is inside her book, A Return to Love, is that there are only two emotions. There's love and there's fear. Now, this comes from a book called The Course in Miracles, which I have not read. I don't want to pretend to be an expert on that. I am not. But in listening to Marianne Williamson, I did learn about these two emotions. And the concept is this, that love's job is to drive up fear so that fear can be healed and returned back to love, hence the title of her book. So here I am sitting here inside my cabin in the Poconos 12 years later thinking, wow, money is love. And what I realized is no, money isn't love necessarily, but it does seem to carry the same energy that love carries in the way that Marianne Williamson was teaching it to me through osmosis while I was in the studio with her. Yeah, and this idea that, you guys, have you ever had this happen? You get into a new romantic relationship and all of a sudden you sabotage it because all your fears got stoked. Have you ever noticed, right? In the United States history, when there is a figure of great love or who offers peace, the reaction is not always great. Why? Because that stokes fear. And all of that fear is being stoked so that it can actually be healed, but it's an uncomfortable process while it's happening, right? When you're sabotaging your relationship, you're like, this is not a good time, people. Why am I doing this, right? Because you're working through that fear. Money does the same thing to us. It injects itself into our lives and shows us everything we are afraid of. Have you ever seen this happen? How many of you have been afraid to raise your prices because you're like, I can't handle it, right? We see all those lottery winners, right? All this money comes into their lives. They're so super excited. And what do? They get rid of it as fast as they possibly can. Why? Because there's too much to heal. There's too much to heal. We can't take it, so we get rid of it. Or we put ourselves in such debt that no matter how much we make, it's always getting shoveled down that rat hole. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because then we don't have to deal with it. It's not my fault. I had too much debt from when I was young, whatever. These are all the things that happen when money enters our lives. So I would love to give you a challenge around this concept. I want you to look at where you're afraid of money. And we all have these fears, right? There's money, sex, religion. There's a couple of big topics for us as human beings that tend to stoke some levels of fear or discomfort or anxiety. And this moment, you landed on this video, I truly believe, because there's something for you to heal here. This is all fixable. That's what's so powerful about understanding what your fears are around money. So when the money comes in and you start to feel that panic, or all of a sudden you realize you must go shopping, right? Something starts to happen like that. That is an opportunity for you to expand. That is an opportunity for you in that moment to ask yourself, what is happening here? What am I afraid is going to happen if I keep this? What's going to happen if I allow this into my world and I invest it and it gets even bigger? What's going to happen if I don't have debt to pay off? What's going to happen if I actually get to keep this and be thoughtful about where I send it next? Because who you send it to next has something to heal as well. Is this making sense? That's why I say money is the most powerful tool we have access to today. We can see the obvious fact of that. We may not love it. You might want to argue with me about that. But for right now, we've decided in our world that money is the most powerful tool we have access to. Okay, so why don't you have more of it? What is it about that power that scares you? I'm going to take you back to Marianne Williamson's quote. Our biggest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our biggest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. So if you have access to a tool that's that powerful, you're going to have to grow yourself to the level to be able to hold it. What an extraordinary opportunity. So I have a challenge for you right now. I would love for you not only to look at what you think you might be running from when it comes to money, I want you to also think about what you could heal. Is it watching your parents fight about money? Is it watching women get paid still today, 80% of what men get paid? Women of color, it's even worse. Is that too painful for you to handle? Or is that something that you can start to heal? And why would you want to heal it? So you can start to alter that. Yeah? And that's a big task. So we can understand why it's like, ooh, I start to rise to that level. People might judge me. People might think I'm not good enough. I might think I'm not good enough. What an extraordinary opportunity for you to heal that belief. Why not you? Why not you becoming the first millionaire in your family, the first person to finish college, the first person to launch a business, the first person in your family to hit high six figures every single month? Why not you? Listen to the fears that come up and use this video as an opportunity for you to heal. I'll catch you in the next episode.